Fluency in English is something many people dream of. I remember when I was a young student, just like you. I wanted to speak English well. I wanted to be fluent. But I was shy and made a lot of mistakes. One day, a teacher said to me, "You can become fluent if you practice every day." That sentence changed my life. When you want something, you have to work for it. Fluency doesn't come in a single day. It's like planting a tree. You put a seed in the ground, water it, and give it sunshine. Every day you take care of it. And one day that tree grows big and strong. The same is true for fluency. Once, a student came to me feeling very sad. She said, "Teacher, I want to speak English, but I always forget the words." I smiled and told her, "Don't worry. Fluency isn't about remembering every word. It's about practice." She looked at me with hope and asked, "But how can I practice?" I told her, "Practice is all around you. You can talk to your friends, listen to stories, sing songs. You can practice any time of the day." I remember when I was in school. I loved stories. I would listen to them every night. My teacher would read to us, and I would repeat the words. At first I was slow, but with time, I became faster. I learned new words, and I felt more confident. Another student once asked me, "Teacher, is fluency only about speaking fast?" I said no. Fluency is about speaking clearly. It's about helping others understand you. You don't need to speak quickly. You need to speak with confidence. There was a boy in my class who spoke very fast, but no one could understand him. I told him, "Slow down, speak clearly, use simple words." He listened, and soon everyone understood him. His confidence grew, and he began enjoying speaking English. Fluency is like a journey. You take one step at a time. You don't rush. You enjoy the process. And one day, when you look back, you'll see how far you've come. I've seen many students who were afraid to speak at first, but with time and consistent practice, they became fluent. There's a secret to fluency. It's a simple one. The secret is to listen. Listen to others speak English. Listen to stories. Listen to songs. Listen to conversations. The more you listen, the more you learn. I knew a girl who loved music. She listened to English songs every day. Soon she started singing along. Her fluency improved because she listened and repeated. Another important thing is not being afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are our best teachers. I had a student who was very afraid of making mistakes. She didn't want to speak because she thought people would laugh. I told her, "Don't worry about mistakes. Every mistake teaches you something." One day, she decided to speak in class. She made many mistakes, but she didn't stop. She kept going. After a while, she improved. She told me, "Teacher, I'm not afraid anymore." That was the day she truly began her journey to fluency. Fluency also comes from thinking in English. When you think in English, you speak more naturally. I once had a student who always translated from his language to English. It made him slow and confused. I told him, "Try thinking in English, even when you're alone." He tried it, and over time, he became more fluent. There was another student who loved to talk. He talked about everything, but he had a habit of mixing English with his native language. I told him, "Try to stay in English. Even if you don't know a word, try to explain it using other English words." This helped him stay focused, and soon he spoke only in English. Reading is another great way to gain fluency. When you read, you learn how sentences are formed and discover new vocabulary. I remember reading simple books when I was learning. Every time I found a new word, I wrote it down and tried using it in a sentence. This helped me remember the words and use them when speaking. One day, a student came to me with a book and said, "Teacher, I read this but didn't understand everything. I told her, "That's okay. The more you read, the more you understand." She continued reading every day. Later, she told me, "Now I understand much more." Her fluency improved because she read and learned something new every day. Fluency also means listening to yourself. Sometimes it helps to record yourself speaking and then listen to find areas for improvement. I had a student who did this daily. She would record herself reading stories and review the recordings. This made her more aware of her speaking and helped her improve quickly. Practicing with a friend is another great way to become fluent. I had two students who were best friends. They made a promise to speak only English with each other. Every day they had conversations, helping each other with words they didn't know. Over time, they both became fluent. They learned from each other and enjoyed the process. Using English in real-life situations also helps a lot. Try using English when you're at the market or with friends. The more you use it, the more natural it becomes. I had a student who worked in a shop and decided to speak only English with his customers. At first it was difficult, but with time, he gained confidence and fluency. Being curious is another powerful tool. When you hear a new word, don't ignore it. Find out what it means and try to use it in your next conversation. I had a student who was very curious. Every time he heard a new word, he asked me what it meant and then used it often. His vocabulary grew quickly, and so did his fluency. Having a goal is also important. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? When your goal is clear, you feel more motivated. I knew a student who wanted to travel to an English-speaking country. That was her goal. Every day she practiced because she wanted to be ready. Her goal kept her focused, and she became fluent before her trip. Finally, I always tell my students, enjoy the process. Fluency doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, but if you enjoy the journey, it becomes easier. I once had a student who loved watching English movies. That made learning fun, and that's what helped her become fluent. He used to watch one English movie every night. In the beginning, he needed subtitles, but gradually, he started watching without them. He enjoyed the movies, and at the same time, his fluency was improving. Fluency comes through repetition. The more you repeat something, the better you become. I remember a student who enjoyed repeating sentences he heard in class. He would say them over and over again until they became natural. Soon, he started using them in his everyday conversations. Speaking with different people also helps you become fluent. Everyone has their own way of speaking. When you interact with different people, you learn different styles and expressions. I once had a very shy student who only spoke with me. I encouraged him to talk to other classmates. He was nervous at first, but with time, he became more confident. He learned new ways of expressing himself, and his fluency improved. Talking about topics you love is another great way to practice. When you're passionate about something, the words come more easily. One of my students loved football. Every day, he would speak to me about football. Because he was excited about the topic, he became more fluent without even realizing it. Fluency also means being okay with not knowing every single word. Sometimes, you won't know the exact word, and that's perfectly fine. Just try to explain what you mean in another way. I had a student who always wanted to know the perfect word. If he didn't know it, he would stop speaking completely. I told him to describe the idea instead. This helped him keep the conversation going, even without the exact vocabulary. A student once asked me how long it would take to become fluent. I told him, it depends on how much you practice. Some people become fluent in a few months. For others, it takes longer. But the most important thing is to keep going. Don't stop. This student practiced every day, and before long, he started to notice his progress. Sometimes it's helpful to practice in front of a mirror. When you see yourself speak, you become more aware of your expressions and body language. I had a shy student who didn't like speaking in front of others. I told her to practice in front of a mirror. This helped her build confidence, and soon she was speaking more fluently. Another student once asked what to do if he forgets a word while speaking. I told him not to stop. Just keep going. Sometimes the word will come back to you later, and if not, you can always use another word or describe it. This advice helped him stay calm and speak more confidently, even when he forgot words. Taking breaks is also important. Your brain needs time to rest after lots of practice. I once had a student who studied too much and got very tired. She became frustrated and wanted to quit. I told her to take a short break, relax, and come back the next day. After resting, she felt better and her fluency continued to grow. Fluency can also come from using English in creative ways. You can write short stories, sing songs, or even make videos. I had a student who loved writing. She wrote short stories in English every day. This helped her learn new words and sentence structures. Later, she began reading her stories aloud, which made her speaking even more fluent. Another powerful way to learn is by teaching others. When you explain something, you understand it more deeply. I had a very fluent student who helped her friends by teaching them new words and practicing with them. Not only did her friends improve, but her own fluency got even better. Having a daily routine is also helpful. One student I knew practiced speaking every morning for 30 minutes. That was his routine, and he followed it consistently. Because of this discipline, his fluency improved quickly. A routine helps you stay on track and make sure you practice regularly. Patience is also a key part of the journey. Fluency doesn't come overnight. I had a student who was very impatient. He wanted to speak fluently right away, and when he didn't see quick results, he became frustrated. I told him to be patient and keep going. Even slow progress is still progress. He listened, kept practicing, and over time became much more confident. Fluency isn't just about speaking. It's also about listening. When you listen carefully, you learn how to respond naturally. I had a student who was an excellent listener. He always listened closely before he spoke, and his answers were thoughtful and clear. Listening well is a big part of becoming fluent. Finally, staying positive is very important. Learning a language can be challenging, but a good attitude makes everything easier. I had a student who was always positive, even when things were difficult. That positive energy helped him keep learning and improving every day. Even when she made mistakes, she would smile and try again. Her positive attitude kept her motivated and eventually led her to fluency. Becoming fluent also means being open to new experiences. Sometimes you need to step outside your comfort zone. I once had a student who was confident in class but very shy in public. I encouraged her to speak with people outside of school. At first, she was nervous, but over time she gained confidence and improved her fluency. It also helps to learn from those who are already fluent. Observe how they speak, listen to their tone, and learn from their rhythm and style. I had a student who admired a well-known English speaker. She would watch his videos and try to copy his manner of speaking. This helped her develop her own fluency. Fluency is a combination of many things: practice, patience, speaking, listening, and learning from mistakes. I once told my students that fluency is like cooking a good meal. You need a variety of ingredients and the right mix. That example helped them understand the importance of balance in learning. Celebrating small wins is also important. Each time you learn a new word or speak without hesitation, it's worth recognizing. I knew a student who celebrated every small achievement. It made her proud and pushed her to keep improving. These little victories help you stay motivated and notice your progress. Once, a student asked me what to do if he got stuck while speaking. I told him it's okay to pause and think, take a breath, and then continue. This advice helped him stay calm in difficult moments. With practice, he learned to manage pauses and became more fluent. Another good habit is to use what you learn right away. If you learn a new word, try to use it in a sentence the next day. I had a student who made this a daily habit. Over time, this method helped him remember words naturally and use them in conversation. You can also learn from your surroundings. Signs, posters, menus, they all offer useful vocabulary. One of my students loved exploring the city. Every time he saw an English sign, he read it and tried to understand it. This helped him learn new words and expressions that he could use when speaking. Being curious about the culture behind the language is also valuable. English is spoken in many countries, and each has its own style. I had a student who was really interested in British English. He watched British TV shows and learned about their culture. This helped him understand different ways of speaking and improved his fluency. But fluency isn't just about the words. It's also about how you use your body. When you speak, your gestures and expressions add meaning. I had a student who was great with body language. Even when his sentences were simple, his body language made him sound more fluent and confident. It helped him communicate better. Challenging yourself is another way to grow. Try speaking about topics you don't know well. It helps you learn new vocabulary and ideas. One student of mine loved sports, but he chose to talk about science. It was tough at first, but he slowly picked up the words and eventually became fluent in that topic too. Fluency also improves when you're relaxed. When you're calm, your words come out more easily. I had a student who felt tense every time he spoke. I told him to take deep breaths before starting. This helped him relax, and he began speaking more smoothly. Another great way to practice is by asking questions. When you ask questions, you naturally start conversations. I had a student who was excellent at this. He asked his classmates about their day, their hobbies, and what they liked to do. This not only improved his fluency, but also helped him build strong connections with others. This practice helped him become more fluent because he was constantly engaged in conversations. Reflecting on your progress is also essential. Every few weeks, take a moment to think about how much you've improved. I had a student who kept a weekly journal where he wrote about his English learning journey. It helped him see how far he had come and gave him the motivation to keep going. Fluency also requires flexibility. Sometimes you need to adjust how you say something to make it clearer. One of my students was excellent at this. If someone didn't understand him, he would rephrase until they did. This ability to adapt made him more fluent and confident in any situation. Staying connected with other learners is another helpful strategy. When you learn with others, you share experiences, learn from each other, and stay motivated. I had a student who joined an English club and practiced with other learners every week. It became a powerful habit that helped her stay focused and improve steadily. Setting small, achievable goals is also important. Instead of saying, "I want to be fluent," say, "I want to learn 5 new words this week." One student of mine did this regularly. Each time she reached a small goal, her confidence grew. Over time, those small steps led to big progress, and she became fluent. Persistence plays a big role too. Even when it's hard, Don't give up. I had a student who struggled for a long time and wanted to quit many times. But he kept going. Eventually, he realized he was speaking much more fluently than before. His hard work paid off. Revisiting what you've learned is also a great way to improve. One of my students reviewed her notes every month. Going back to past lessons helped her remember important things and gave her more confidence when using English. Keeping an open mind is key as well. You may hear different ways of saying the same thing. I had a student who was curious about various English dialects. He explored how people from different regions spoke, which made him more adaptable and better at communicating in diverse situations. Enjoying the language is one of the most powerful motivators. Find something you love in English: books, movies, songs, anything. I had a student who was passionate about English poetry. She read poems daily and tried to understand them deeply. Her love for poetry made her more enthusiastic and helped her fluency grow naturally. Asking for feedback is another useful habit. When you speak, ask someone to tell you what you did well and what could be better. One student always asked me for feedback after every speaking task. It helped him improve faster and focus on what really mattered. Flashcards are a practical tool too. Write down new words and review them often. I had a student who made flashcards for every word he learned and went through them daily. This helped him remember vocabulary and use it naturally in conversation. Fluency also means being comfortable with silence. Sometimes you need a moment to think before speaking. I had a student who feared silence. He thought he had to respond immediately. I told him it was okay to pause and collect his thoughts. That helped him speak more clearly and confidently. Learning phrases instead of single words can also speed up your fluency. When you study phrases, you learn how words fit together naturally. One student focused on this approach, and it made her speech sound smoother and more fluent. Being curious about the world adds even more depth to your language skills. The more you know about different cultures and ideas, the more you have to say. I had a student who loved learning about history. His curiosity gave him more topics to talk about and helped him connect with others through language. The path to fluency is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. Like a river flowing steadily to the ocean, every effort you make brings you closer to your goal. Fluency isn't just about speaking smoothly. It's about expressing yourself and connecting with the world around you. Every new word you learn and every sentence you speak builds a bridge to new understanding and friendships. So keep learning, keep speaking, and let your voice be heard. And now I want to ask you, what inspires you to continue on your journey to fluency? I'd love to hear your story.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Before we go, let me leave you with this. Learning English isn't just about memorizing words or grammar rules. It's about connecting with people, just like Sarah did on her trip. So keep practicing, stay curious, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. See you in the next video.